Thank you so much for staying tuned. Welcome to yet another edition of International Forum. I am Wilson Marshall. Yesterday, something historic happened, and the world stood still just to take note of the new sheriff in town. After all, once you are the president of the United States of America, you are known as the president of the world, the #1 man on the global scene. Donald J. Trump, the 45th, and yesterday he was inaugurated as the 47th U.S. president. Like he promised, America will come first. He made that known over and over again in his speech. Pollock saying that appreciate what he did because, according to reports, he hit the ground running. The executive orders were given and immediately they were adhered to. Anyway, joining me to really talk about this, how the inauguration of Donald Trump will affect the world politics and economy. Mind you, it's going to start from the U.S. I will be here in the studio, a legal practitioner, political affairs commentator, Barrister Abayomi Thomas. It's a pleasure to have you join us this afternoon for this discussion.
Thank you for having me here.
All right. And of course, I have yet another vibrant analyst, political affairs commentator, both local and international politics. Is well-grounded. Join me to welcome Honorable Paul IEC. Welcome to International Forum.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wilson.
All right.
And good afternoon, via Saturn.
All the way from the U.S. Yes, he's there at the center of it all. That's why I choose to reach out to him to tell us what is going on, the pulse of the citizens of America. Join me to welcome Ahmed Mamadou. Ahmed, it's a pleasure to have you join us. Welcome.
The pleasure is mine, Wilson. Good afternoon, and good afternoon, viewers.
Well, right now we'll go on a break. When we return, we'll go straight to the issue. For those waiting for news around the world, sorry for today, it's not going to come, okay, because of this important discussion. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Thank you so much for staying tuned. If you just joined us, this is International Forum, and of course, adding to the guests I have in the studio, I have a lecturer all the way from Unibe talk about international relations. He's well grounded, but local and international politics is well grounded. To me, he is a prof. Yes, he is a prof. Join me to welcome Don Felix Osarime. It's a pleasure to have you join us this afternoon.
Thank you, Wilson. Yes, at all. Good afternoon.
All right. So, Barrister Ebi Thomas, you're going to tee up this discussion. The 45th and now the 47th President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump. Some say he's the man of action because he proved that yesterday, because after he was inaugurated, immediately his executive powers came into fruition and many things, so let's say 7 key points, right? Well, like, made immediately, it started working. Come on, what do you feel about this development, and how do you think the world will adjust to his presence?
Well, welcome, Donald Trump, for the start of your second tenure. Well, he started hitting the ground running quite all right. Whether he would take America to El Dorado or he would set them back with his speed, time will tell. But I can tell you straight away, Donald Trump has been an action man, whether on TV or in politics. And he has been controversial as well in his actions. America voted for him, so they should be ready to face the joy and the controversies that will follow his actions. We're already seeing it. He knew he would be sworn in. So I was surprised by his signing 25 executive orders yesterday. He was just signing them just like that. I wasn't surprised because he knew he would be sworn in. So definitely he has to take action. And most of them were based on his promises that he made during his campaign. as we discussed, we'll see areas where America has to watch out for. If you look at the silence of coming from Europe, Europe is silent. We all know what to expect about Ukraine.
We'll get to that point.
So,
we'll get to that point
we'll see.
of the discussion. All right, Prof, what do you feel about this? I think Putin has already said congratulations to Donald Trump, but that's beginning to, follow his step, congratulating Donald Trump. Like what he rightly said, major parts of Europe are like just quiet.
Donald Trump, as the President of the United States, is coming back as the 47th after being the 45th. So he's not new to the job. And we know that he has a disruptive influence. He also has that controversial capacity, and he's a contentious kind of person. But we cannot take away from him the fact that he is very popular. He is a populist person. He's also a nationalist. He has created a movement called Trumpism, where you use everything at your disposal to project your ideas, irrespective of who is accepting it as fact or not. But he's also saying that America has been reborn as of the 20th of January 2025, that is going to make America great again. That was his slogan the first time he became president. And when he left office after one term to Joe Biden, he has come back, and he had a flurry of executive orders waiting. And we cannot run away from the fact that Trump campaigned on a populist note. He won the election on a populist note. Trump takes governance as business. He uses a basic rule called a CBA, cost benefit analysis. So he looks at what America will gain from what America is putting money into, or what America is involving herself in. And if you see from the executive orders he signed yesterday, he made some very clear inroads. Let's take some of them. The DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusiveness executive order that has to do with the issue of transgender and LGBTQ movement.
We'll get to that point. These people picking up, okay, just generally speaking,
on
your feelings so far, before start picking on all those salient points that the world is like looking at. So, Honorable Paul, what do you feel about his emergence?
Well, Donald Trump is a man that no one can actually predict. He's not new in this business. He has been there as a president and is here for the second term, even though he lost the middle one. But I want to believe that Donald Trump is going to expose America to a lot of things they never expected. For instance, he has started undoing those things that his predecessor did, Biden. He has announced, even in day one, that America was going to pull out from WHO. So there are a lot of things that we are going to see that no one can actually expect right now.
All right, a lot of shockers according to you that we're going to experience in the world. Well, let's move straight down to the U.S. as our opening a remark. Ahmed Mamadou, how is the U.S. right now? Is there jubilation or just someone just cautious about the way they are doing their business? How was it so far over there?
Oh, everything is peace and calm. There has been a peaceful transfer of power. The outgoing President Biden has handed over to President Trump, and Trump has made a few initial executive orders, which everybody's watching how it plays out. It depends on the side of the spectrum you are. There are some people who are scared of the outcome of the prayer of President Trump, and some people are happy about it, just like any other political climate. So we're watching and seeing. I, for one, find it repulsive that somebody who has been convicted, a convicted felon, a criminal, becomes the president of the most powerful country of the world. It's a shameful day for America as far as I am concerned, and it gives a lot of apprehension. The moral capacity for America to lead has been deeply eroded by somebody of such unworthy character becoming the president. So for me personally, it's a very uncomfortable very sad day, but a lot of people are happy about the outcome.
I will definitely come back to you. Now let's start off from the home side. Granting pardon to those persons that were incarcerated on the Capitol riots. As a legal practitioner, what do you feel about this pardon given to over 1,600 persons that were convicted, so to speak, for partaking in the Capitol riot?
This is where I said America has voted for Trump. They will face the consequences of voting for Trump. Trump, before he was voted in, had about 34 cases. So if he had not been elected by the Americans, by now he should have been in one of the federal prisons. A man you cannot predict, as my friend said, you can't predict his character, you can't predict anything he's doing. Is that the kind of person to lead the strongest and with a massive military in the world? With a finger you can just press the nuclear bomb. A good friend to Putin. Is that the kind of man that should lead America? Now you see the situation America is going to face. You have pardoned those who are yet to be tried. This was a civilian coup, so to speak. He lost the election. He refused to accept losing the election. And his speech brought thousands of people to Capitol Hill who wanted to reverse the result of the election. In fact, he instructed his vice president at that time to go to Capitol Hill and reverse the results. But the man refused to take instruction from him. Now, some people have been convicted for even assaulting and killing some policemen. He has already given a blanket order. If you have been convicted, you are pardoned. If you are under trial, go home. So what kind of country is that? And Biden had anticipated the kind of character coming to become president. He too took to illegality by pardoning his own son, who has been convicted of drug-related offenses. Then, the last minute, he selected some members of his family whom he knew are likely to face special investigators investigation. He pardoned them in advance.
All right. Everybody just keep on pardoning everyone as the president. You take it from releasing over 1,000, or pardoning rather, over 1,600 persons involved with the Capitol riot. And what is the fate of the gays, lesbians, bisexuals in America? What are you, Prof?
Good enough. The issue of pardon at the presidential level is called the prerogative of mercy. It's a political tool that is used most times by the government to gain credibility on the one side, to act as if they are the milk of human kindness flowing in them on the other side. So most times we talk of pardon. If you look deeply into the cases of people who are pardoned, in many of the instances, they are politicized. And that's exactly what Joe Biden did. And that is where Trump has now taken off in his own administration. Because days before the inauguration, it was already clear that Joe Biden was going to pardon his son, Hunter Biden, and he did. Now the one he did, the preemptive, the one that he did that was now futuristic, was the one he signed just a few hours before the end of the administration. And that is very interesting. So someone that would have believed is a modicum of consideration, of a rectitude of good comportment, as Joe Biden was, did such a thing. Trump that we know is a go-getter. Trump that we know is always interested in what benefits him. Trump that we know is a man that moves to gain leverage at the expense of others. Pardoning those people that will involve the Capitol Hill is a foregone matter. He will do it. In fact, he has even done it. Now, that is why before he was sworn in, when he won the election, I did say in one of our programs here that Trump was going to grant a pardon. Because he will tell you that there's a precedent and that it is his capacity as president to do that. Because right from the onset, he argued that they were nationalists. He never said that they were trying to overthrow the government. He said they will not be allowed to express themselves because he felt that he won the popular vote. Meanwhile, he refused to accept, as at that time, that he had been defeated. He gradually accepted later. Now, this is where it becomes again very interesting. You have asked about the LGBTQ movement, the one we call the DEI, because there was a federal funding for that program, as approved by the Democratic government that was led by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Trump has reversed it as of yesterday with executive order. He has not just only spoken that American government as an official policy will recognize only two sexes, the male and female. He said they will no longer use the word gender, because gender is the linchpin of saying that you are either male or female or non-binary. So Trump has cancelled that one. And they have said those who associate in that condition, they are not the majority. Because that was where the problem came. They were now making it look as if, yes, they are entitled to their minority opinion. But the thing is that the government was now making it a policy that if you speak against them, then you have offended their accessibility, you are discriminating, and that now set a lot of people on the edge. And that was also part of the executive order that signed. I think that was the sixth one that had to do with the issue of freedom of expression.
All right, I will come back to you, Prof. I'll come back to you. Well, Honorable Paul, from these two angles, because taking a look at America, we have to start off from the home front for go out of the home front, talking about international, relation and all that, the LGBT, and of course, pardoning those over 1,600 persons that were involved one way or the other in the Capitol riots. Morally speaking, as a president, do you feel that it should have started with that particular action?
Well, I want to place on record here, and I guess we all know that Donald Trump is one of America's foremost businessmen. And as a businessman, personal interest overrides every other interest. In politics, personal interest matters most as well. Donald Trump doing that has caused some goals, which is very beneficial to him. First, he's doing this to please himself and to please some special persons that were there for him. Do not forget that these persons, some were convicted and others were not. They were working for him. What led to all that was solidarity for Trump. And he felt that this was a good way of starting off, so he can please these people and please his conscience as well. Again, I want to talk about the other one you talked about.
Yeah, the lesbians, gays,
and all that. Of course, we all know, you and I know that it's one of those things that would have brought America to the drains. If America faces criticism, that is one of the topmost things on the agenda of people who criticizes America. God have made man and woman. There is nothing like man and man. Take a look at all the animals in the world, even those in the seas. Is man and woman, male and female. For America to begin to push the agenda of lesbianism and all the others, I think is something that spells doom for America.
All right.
And Trump have come to save America from that.
All right. So in that particular regard, you're saying is okay.
Very okay.
Now let's move straight down to the U.S. Remomodo is standing by. I believe that the gays, the lesbian, the transgender, you just name it, are not really happy about this development. Of course, cover the fact that over 1,600 persons were given or granted pardon. And from your own opening remark, you said that you're really not happy about the fact that America chose to elect or vote for a convict, so to speak. Now, with all this on the ground, what do you feel about it? Yourself, I can't hear you. Please unmute yourself.
I'm sorry about that.
All right.
So he's not a convict, like you said. He's an actual convict. A court of proper jurisdiction and a jury of his peers found him guilty of the crimes that he was arraigned for. So he is an actual convict. Now, in America, he's a felon. The crimes he committed were felonies. In America, you can hardly get a job. You cannot get a job when you have a felony on your criminal record in the lowest place, in McDonald's. That is the person that America has chosen to be the president. So he's not he's an actual convict. When you say there is a criminal in the White House, you are very correct. Now, to address the issue of lesbians and gays and so on, there is apart from the anger that Donald Trump was able to galvanize behind his movement, there's nothing anybody can do about the lifestyle of people. So refusing to recognize them is simply sweeping the dirt under the rug. You are wasting your time. What are you going to do? Are you going to go into their houses and arrest them? Or are you going to refuse them services? It's simply a waste of time. And to further show you how much of a waste of time it is, there are members of his incoming cabinet some are gay, and some of them are lesbians. It's a fact of life in America. There is nothing anybody or even the federal government can do. Let us address also some of his executive orders that are simply a waste of time. We are talking about non-binary issues. Everybody is either addressed as male or female. Those things are only affected by the federal government. Now, America is a state, it's a republic where each of the states have their own services and their own direction. For example, take California. California is the third largest economy in the world, and they have their own standards. If California chooses to address those issues on a form, there's nothing the federal government can do. So instead of chasing all these shadows that Donald Trump is chasing, there are real issues that America is facing. There's an epidemic of homelessness. We are talking about a ballooning federal deficit. We are talking about monies that have been wasted on wars. America has spent trillions of dollars on war. Meanwhile, they cannot even provide proper health care for citizens in a first world country. The healthcare here is like a third world country. So there are so many issues, but what we've seen in the emergence of Donald Trump is simply the enemy of your enemy is my enemy. And they all came together and elected this man. And in time, these fractures are going to come out because there's too much hatred behind this movement, and it cannot sustain itself.
All right. Well, he is there, in America, giving us your point of view. He said as a lifestyle. After you have various states that make up the United States of America. Well, the issue of immigration. It was like right now, right then, immigrant properly documented, the Mexican border. You don't have any right to say that you're an American, even if you're giving birth in America. So many other things about immigration. What do you feel about Donald Trump's stand on immigration?
It's laughable. Point to one man in leadership in America who is an American. They are either from Republic of Ireland, they are either from the Latino-speaking areas in the East. The best physicians and academia they have, who today they are Americans, are from Nigeria and other African countries. Why making it like somebody said, oh, he campaigned on populist grounds? That is politics. But like my friend in the US said just now, America has a plethora of deep-rooted problems. Issue of housing. I know what it is in America to get a house. And even when you get a house, can you pay the mortgage? Can you pay the mortgage? At least I've been to America several times and I know how issue of mortgage renders the average worker to go to bed without food. Those are problems. Health issues. If you are in the UK and you are 60, you are an elder. Automatically you get the card that allows you to take public transport free. It's not like that in America. There are deep-rooted issues than these populist things. Like he said, can you really go to the houses of all these lesbians and others and to arrest them? When members of your cabinet are, some of them are lesbians, some of them are gay.
So are you not saying that all these are just political?
They are just, I told you, my first statement I made today was that this man has been a showman in the media.
All right.
And he is still playing that showmanship. Very soon, like he said, the whole thing will burst. I have told you it will start with Elon Musk. I will mention the name. It will start with Elon Musk. You have brought together people with different ideologies, people with different orientations.
Okay, you just hold on right now. I want to go on a break. When we return, we'll continue with this discussion. It's getting more and more interesting. Do say. Thank you so much for staying tuned. If you just joined us, this is International Forum. And as you can see, or let's observe, you get to realize that my analysts, some of them are really down with Donald Trump's policies. But come on, let's go on with the discussion. Well, from what Barrister Ibifemo said before we went for that particular break, he said this might just be all political. While America in the US said even of his cabinet, they are part of this gay, bisexual, transsexual, you just name it. And let me come to you, Prof. The case of immigration. People are really troubled about that. Remember when he was there as the 45th president, he did a lot in that area and people are still regretting voting for him during his first stint as the president. Do you think it will be worse off this time?
I do not want to sound too much like a prophet of doom, but I want to believe that we should be a bit circumspect. Trump is signing executive orders. He said he has about 200 to sign.
200?
Yes, he has about 200. As of yesterday, he has signed more than 25. In fact, he started by signing, he signed about 25 in the Washington Stadium before he went back to Oval Office to continue signing. And when he signed them, he will raise them for the public to see. That's part of the showmanship. Yeah, the guy is actually a showman, and he talks in a very garrulous manner. We know that about him. But deep down, let us scratch below the surface and go below the skin, beneath our skin, and see that Trump is raising some issues that is making him talk the way he talks. And people are voting for him. That's what I always observe. That Trump did not seize power. He was voted for. I mean, he contested with a democratic government, and those ones brought their manifesto. He brought his manifesto, and while he was campaigning, he did say that this immigration he was going to address again, and he keeps mentioning particularly Middle East countries, Syria, Iran, Iraq. He mentioned Yemen. He has also pointed fingers at African countries, and when we are talking of Africa, Nigerians are always apprehensive. And why are we apprehensive? Because we see America as the El Dorado. The Western world is designed like that, and everybody looks to the West. I don't see Russians look at America. The Chinese don't look at America like that. They see them as collaborators, partners in their own venture. So we go back to this same argument. Immigration to America. Trump is saying they are going to put more things in place to ensure that immigration will be properly scrutinized. He is insisting that, in fact, of yesterday, the app that they use for application
has been suspended, yes.
So they want to refine the procedures such that they will be sure of who is coming in or what you are coming in for. America was built on an immigrant policy. America started as the land of the brave and the free, but that was in the past. We are talking of a world that is racked today by terrorism, by hackers, by things that across from all dark spots, and America is their destination. Iran keeps saying America is the great Satan. We should not be. So I'm not emotional about some of these things because I'm looking at the political and the international perspectives. When Trump is saying these things, countries that are benefit from America, Trump is telling them, you will pay to get benefits. We are no longer doing Big Brother. We are already established. He just pulled out of World Health Organization. He said we have been funding World Health Organization. We will see how relevant we are to them when they come running after us.
All right.
The funding that he's talking of is American resources using. And he's saying we are going to cut back on these resources. And whereas he is saying too that the immigration policies will be tightened. It will be more stricter. That is, in the first tenure, Trump did say something I never forgot. He said that even the road to heaven is not free. That to get to heaven, there are a lot of conditions. Not to come to America.
All right, so you're saying in a way he's correct.
He is doing what he has campaigned to do, and he is doing what he feels will move his country forward. I think we should be asking ourselves, where do we stand in the spectrum? Are we going to accept it? If we are not going to accept it, what do we have to offer? Because that is the diplomatic aspect that we are looking at.
Okay, well, before we go, there's a discussion about going international, living in America right now. What do you have to say about his immigration policy? Two distinct, opinions. One from Barrister A.B. Thomas and, of course, one from Professor Felix. What's your stand on this?
I think he's doing the right thing.
He's doing the right thing.
Yes. First, you need to understand that it's only in Africa we welcome and entertain uninvited guests. You will not allow a man to come into your house, you don't know him from anywhere, and he has come to stay. What Trump is saying is not that nobody comes to America or they don't want any immigrants in America. He's saying you should be properly documented. You don't just run in as if it's a free land for everybody. No. If you must come in, let it be that you are coming in for a genuine reason. And you must have a reason to come. If you don't have a good reason to come, stay in your home. Why should you be apprehensive about that? I think it's a clarion call for our leaders to do what is right in our country so that the place can be good enough for us. I don't see America better than Nigeria, if you ask me, if we have good leaders that are ready to fix this country for us. We are running away from here because we have bad leadership. I'm sorry to say that, but it's true that the leadership we have in Africa is so poor that people are dying in the Mediterranean Sea just to cross over to any country of this world. So I think I go with Donald Trump. If you want to get up tomorrow to go to America, have your good reasons, go the genuine way.
Go the genuine way. Well, Ahmed, I believe that in his first stint you were there. Some described it as hell on earth when Donald Trump really made his promise on immigration, migration, Mexican borders, Venezuela and America, you just name it. Do you think it's going to be worse off this time, or you appreciate that aspect of President Donald Trump?
So the issue of immigration is simply a rally call for the racist element of the American society to rally around the white supremacist ideology that believes that whites are superior to any other color. That's simply what Donald Trump has done. The idea that his own immigration policies are better than what is currently existing is also false. Anybody that takes a minute and Googles it will find out that the southern border is now more defended than at any point in time of the American history. Yes, there has been a problem with immigration, but you see, to define immigration as a crime is also an act of racism. There are many reasons why people want to immigrate. Most of it is economic. Now, to say that everybody that is trying to immigrate is a criminal, then you are criminalizing immigration. America, like one of your panelists said, is built on immigration. The original Americans are none of these people are original Americans. Even Trump's family came from Germany. His wife's family came from Russia. So it's a country of immigrants. This is simply a case of when you climb up, you throw the ladder down. Yes, there should be a proper way to immigrate, but to classify everybody as an immigrant everybody that is immigrating as a criminal is criminalizing immigration. Now, this is a fact that people rarely understand. The longest unmanned border in the world is shared between America and Canada. There's no security on that border. You can come in and go in as freely as you like. But the southern border is the one that connects with Mexico. And it's only about 1/4 of the border between America and Canada. That's where they make all the noise about, because it is brown people that come from there, it's Chinese, it's Latinos, etc., etc. So it's a form of racism that is masked as we are against people coming in. Now, here is the more important thing. The American society is built on these immigrants. There are jobs that Americans find below their dignity because there is a minimum wage that you must be paid per hour as per federal government regulations. Some of these jobs Americans will not do. So the people that even voted for Trump, they've come to find out that most of their workers, if he actually does what he says he's going to do, are going to be deported. So like another of your panelists said, this is just simply showmanship. What has happened is that the white population in America has decided that they will take power at any cost, and their flag bearer is Donald Trump. So what you will expect in the next 4 years is just the struggling of a dying horse, because the socioeconomic facts of the world has made it impossible for one race to stand over another and say we are better. This is the reality America is refusing to face, and they will come to terms with it whether they like it or not.
Interesting, because I just love this discussion in the sense that we have divergent views and opinions on this particular topic, inauguration of Donald Trump, how it's going to affect the world economy and of course peace.
To what he said.
Sure, you're going to add to what he said,
Yes.
but right now we just can't attend to everything that's been done locally in America. Let's go international. Don't forget the battle between Russia and, of course, Ukraine. How do you think that will pan out? Over now to you, Barrister Ibe Thomas.
Yes. I have said before that while Donald Trump is interested in America for Americans, he is a close friend of Putin. His wife is from Russia. Whoever wants to dispute it can dispute it. He's a close business partner with Putin. During his campaign, he said he was going to solve the issue of Russian-Ukraine war the very first day he gets to power. I'm surprised he didn't solve it yesterday. The only thing he's going to tell Ukraine is, oh, this war must end. The area you have lost, concede it to Russia. Russia, take. You exchange prisoners. That kind of brigand attitude, where you don't respect the sovereign territory of a nation. And I can tell you, I can bet my last kobo, he has already done it yesterday on the West Bank of the Palestinians. The sanctions placed on Israelis or the settlers in the West Bank who forcibly took the land of the Palestinians, sanctions placed by the Biden government, he has removed the sanctions by this morning. By this morning, he has removed all the sanctions. So everybody is now free to drive away the Palestinians from their land in West Bank. If they like, drive them into the Mediterranean Sea. So the same thing is going to do to the Ukrainians. Ukrainians were rushing to Biden. Please, let's have these things before this man comes. At least before Biden, after the election, when Trump won, there was still $9 billion to be remitted to Ukraine. I don't know for what reason why Biden became a slow man, because he should have rushed these things to Ukraine. And I told you before now, I said, look at the silence from Europe.
From Europe.
Because the Europeans are not happy. The moment he won the election, the Europeans just went into their shells. Because in his first tenure, he refused to allow any NATO meeting
Okay.
to take place.
All right.
And right now, if he's threatening to pull out of World Health Organization, WHO, he of course would not even hesitate to pull out of NATO. And without American power in NATO, Europe is gone.
Okay. You just hold on now. You just raised a very vital point. Say, without American power supporting NATO, Europe is gone. Do you think that what Donald Trump said in the first stint as president is correct, that these guys are feasting so hard, feasting so fat on America? Over to you now, Prof. Linking it with the issue of Russia, Ukraine, of course, Israel, Hamas, Palestine. Take it up from there.
If you have time to look at the seal of the United States, the Great Seal of the United States, there's a Latin term, e pluribus unum, and if you translate it, means from many, one. That is the mode, that is the code that developed America to become a world power. America aggregated from all races, all backgrounds, all nationalities, all climes, and they congregated in America, and they built a system and a structure that has become the model, the standard for the world to follow. And this is where it gets interesting. The Americans that we are talking of today are not the Americans that founded America. Every society is evolving. I think we are looking at Trump from the narrow prism of our expectation. Trump is a student of power and its use in the international political system. The currency of the international political system is nothing but power. Putin is a very good student too. Benjamin Netanyahu is another very good student. In fact, Chairman Xi Jinping of China is another student. Modi of India is calculating in that regard now. Every great nationalist thinks first of what to do with the power inherent in his country. If our power is useless, if it is not useful. So Trump is always looking at where America will gain. And anybody that is going to judge or look at Trump from that, you are not moralizing. And in international politics, there's no morality.
No morality.
No, it is the rule of power. That is the unfortunate part of the reality. In fact, in this world that we live in, our world is a world that is guided by the ability to aggregate power and to use it. Beautiful women use their beauty as power. Men that have resources use their resources as power. Whatever you have that's an advantage is power. And you use it for your own gain. Nobody accumulates power and gives it away. Nobody does that. So when you now say Trump is going to deal with Putin because they will look at concurrent issues. Okay, in negotiation, will say, what am I getting from what I'm giving to you? In the game of chess, you sacrifice pawns for you to protect the queen and the king and the bishop. Most times you even drop the castle. That is a game. But in international politics, that's exactly what's happening. In Syria, in Yemen, in Ukraine, power will play out.
Power will play out.
You see that those who have power will retain it for themselves. And what would they go to use? When two elephants fight, African adage said what? When two elephants fight, it is the grass that suffers. Ukraine will not go down immediately. And as my co-panelists actually observed, it is unfortunate that Biden, whom Trump always calls Sleepy Joe, allowed himself to slip off. Because if he had released the amount of money that had been appropriated, it would have given the Ukrainians a better ground.
Wow.
But interestingly, let's also look at one point. Interestingly, it does not mean that Ukraine will defeat Russia. It simply meant that they will be able to put up a psychological front, which we have always been advocating, that's what Russia just needs to make Russia come back to proper negotiation.
Thank you so much. I know you have so much to say. Well, Honorable Paul, international relation. Our time is almost up, close to 1 hour. We've been talking about this particular issue, the Russia-Ukraine situation, Israel, Hamas, Syria, Yemen, you just name it.
Well, Donald Trump told the world before he was being sworn in that he was going to stop the wars, meaning all the wars America is involved in, he was going to stop them once he comes in. How he was going to do that, he never told anyone. So we are not going to preempt him. We don't know what he's going to do in the coming days. That he was going to stop it, the Russian-Ukraine war from day one. Of course, we all know that that war was serious. Nobody was able to do that in one day. So we are going to keep watching to see what it's going to do in the coming days.
In the coming days. So all fingers crossed, we're watching.
That's it.
All right, Ahmed, you're going to have the last line on this discussion. We'll dwell mostly on the home front. Maybe subsequently, we'll talk about internal relation, of course, with the presence of Donald Trump. But for today, we're talking about this inauguration. What do you feel will be the order of the day in terms of Russia-Ukraine war, Israel-Hamas, you just name it?
So we've seen what he did in his first term. There's nothing new. Anybody that is expecting Donald Trump to be anything but Donald Trump is wasting his time. He's going to allow pretty much Russia to run over Ukraine as much as they want. He's going to allow the Israeli genocide to continue. He's going to allow the Israelis to keep on murdering the Palestinians. And he has made a few statements that will allow you to rationalize some of the nonsense that he's doing. He said America should take over Greenland, and we should be talking about America should take over the Suez Canal, and some other nonsensical statements that he has made. All of these things would let you know that his mindset is towards expansionism, and anybody that he feels is doing the right thing in that regard is going to have carte blanche as far as he's concerned. So we're in for rough days. We've seen the chaos that Donald Trump brings into government before. Everybody is buckling up for another round of it. It happened during the pandemic. Instead of taking proper action, he was talking about using bleach to clean yourself. So this is not something that is new. It's just that we've been dragged willy-nilly by an element of the population into an administration that nobody would have thought 4 years ago would be possible for such a perverse individual to become the president again. But here we are. 4 more years, God will take us through, and we hope for the best.
Much, Mamadou, you're not sounding happy about this inauguration. You have your good reasons. Even Barrister Ibrahim is not happy. But Pro Felix is trying to be neutral, to bring out international politics. Why honorable points like saying, yes, they love most of the things that Donald Trump is doing, but the world is what?
Before the inauguration,
yes,
he said, "Oh, I'm going to deal with China. I want to deal with China." But yesterday, he was already saying, "We will negotiate and become friends." This is a man who you cannot predict.
Thank you.
It's negativity throughout.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. That's it on today's edition of International Forum. But think about this. He suggested to Justin Trudeau, the then Prime Minister of Canada, that, come on, be part of the US, be part of the States. Yeah. He's talking about occupying the Greenland. Does they have the same mentality as Vladimir Putin? I'm just thinking out loud.
I think so.
I'm just thinking out loud. But all the same, we'll do it again next week, Tuesday, God willing. Bye for now.